a motorcycle exploding into a massive fireball after impact, a rider being launched off the edge of a mountain, and one of the most horrifying moments in Superbike history, where Hutchinson suffered a life-changing injury. These are the most terrifying motorcycle racing crashes of the 21st century. And trust me, the final story changed a rider's life forever. But first, let's start with a crash so violent that the motorcycle literally exploded. It was race 1 of the 2017 World Superbike Championship at Imola. Irish rider Eugene Laverty was battling for valuable championship points aboard his Milwaukee Aprilia RSV4. Everything looked under control until he entered the fast Acque Minerali section with just a few laps remaining. Then, disaster struck. Laverty suddenly lost control, and within seconds, his Aprilia slammed head-on into the barriers. The impact was so violent that the fuel tank ruptured instantly, triggering a massive fireball that engulfed the motorcycle. Fortunately, Laverty had already separated from the bike and slid safely across the gravel before the explosion. Amazingly, despite witnessing one of the biggest fires ever seen in World Superbikes, he escaped without serious injuries and returned later that weekend to finish 7th in race 2. But not every rider is that lucky. Take Gary Johnson at the 2015 Isle of Man TT. The Superbike race was in full swing, and Johnson was pushing hard to close the gap to the leaders on his GB Moto Kawasaki. Then, while charging through the mountain course, everything changed in an instant. Entering a fast right-hand corner at around 120 miles per hour, the front of the bike suddenly folded underneath him. He slammed violently onto the tarmac before sliding down the road at terrifying speed. Although Gary survived, he suffered a broken collarbone and multiple injuries that forced him to miss the rest of the racing season. Many thought it would take years to recover. Instead, he returned to the Isle of Man TT the very next year and proved everyone wrong by securing 5 top 10 finishes. Sometimes, though, it's not the slide that causes the most damage, it's the high side. The Southern 100 is often called the younger brother of the Isle of Man TT. It may use a shorter 4.25-mile circuit around Castletown, but don't let its size fool you. It's every bit as unforgiving. Just ask Michael Dunlop. During the 2019 Southern 100, Dunlop was pushing the absolute limit through Castletown Bridge when his motorcycle suddenly snapped into a violent high side. The bike launched him high into the air before throwing him hard onto the road. The crash left the TT legend with a broken pelvis and multiple fractures, injuries serious enough to sideline almost any rider. But Michael Dunlop isn't like most riders. After months of recovery, he fought his way back to the mountain course and continued adding to his legendary career, eventually becoming the most successful rider in Isle of Man TT history, with 33 TT victories by 2026. Michael Dunlop's incredible comeback eventually earned him his 33rd Isle of Man TT victory, cementing his place as the most successful rider in TT history. But street circuits have one terrifying problem. There are no runoff areas, no gravel traps, no room for mistakes, and nowhere was that more brutally demonstrated than at the 2012 Macau Grand Prix. The Gia circuit is one of the most unforgiving street tracks in the world. Lined with concrete walls and Armco barriers from start to finish, even the smallest mistake can have devastating consequences. During the race, Portuguese rider Luís Carreira was pushing his Suzuki GSX R1000 through the famous Fisherman's Bend. As he entered the fast sweeping corner, the rear of the bike suddenly lost grip. There was no time to recover, no escape route. His motorcycle slammed directly into the barriers at tremendous speed. Despite the rapid response from medical teams, Carreira suffered catastrophic injuries and tragically passed away shortly after arriving at the hospital. The following day, every rider on the grid paid tribute to their fallen competitor. It remains one of the darkest moments in modern motorcycle racing. But sometimes, a crash that looks completely unsurvivable ends with a miracle. Take Conor Cummins. During the Isle of Man TT, the local hero was attacking the legendary veranda section at more than 150 miles per hour when disaster struck. Without warning, the rear tire lost grip. His Kawasaki was launched off the road, and both rider and machine tumbled down the mountainside as the motorcycle shattered into pieces. Watching the crash live, many feared the worst. Somehow, Cummins survived. He suffered 5 fractured vertebrae, a broken arm, severe lung bruising, and a hairline fracture to his pelvis. For most riders, injuries like these would mark the end of a career. For Conor Cummins, it became just another chapter in his comeback story. A year later, he was back on the mountain course, once again racing at over 200 miles per hour. Now that's the kind of determination very few people possess. But if you think that was unbelievable, the next crash happened on the very same circuit, and it's remembered as one of the most terrifying fireball crashes ever captured on camera. Guy Martin, one of the most fearless riders of his generation, was charging through Balaguerre corner at well over 170 miles per hour when the front of his Honda suddenly folded underneath him. Within seconds, the motorcycle slammed into the barriers and erupted into a massive fireball. Flames shot high into the sky as thick black smoke covered the circuit, forcing race officials to immediately stop the race with a red flag. Against all odds, Guy Martin survived, but he wasn't unhurt. The violent impact left him with a broken back, adding another serious injury to his long list of crashes. Marc Márquez proved that even MotoGP's modern circuits can't eliminate danger. You simply can't talk about the most violent motorcycle crashes without mentioning the rider who has repeatedly pushed the limits of both speed and survival. To understand that story, we have to go back to Jerez, 2020. After running wide early in the race, Márquez launched an unbelievable comeback, carving his way back through the field and climbing to third place. Then, everything changed in a split second. With just 4 laps remaining, Marc Márquez was riding on the absolute limit, desperately trying to recover from his earlier mistake. Then, everything unraveled. Pushing his Honda RC213V to the edge of its capabilities, the front suddenly let go, sending Márquez into one of the biggest crashes of his career. As he slid helplessly through the gravel, the motorcycle bounced back and struck him hard on the shoulder, leaving him with a severely fractured humerus. For most riders, an injury like that would end the season. For Marc Márquez, it was simply another challenge to overcome. Just days after undergoing major surgery, he stunned the entire MotoGP paddock by attempting an incredible comeback. He returned to the circuit hoping to ride again. Just ask Hutchinson. After making history in 2010 by becoming the first rider ever to win all 5 solo Isle of Man TT races in a single week, Hutchinson looked unstoppable. Later that season, he lined up for the British Superbike Championship at Silverstone. Heavy rain had soaked the circuit, creating treacherous conditions. Despite the weather, the race went ahead. Then, on the very first lap, chaos erupted. Hutchinson lost the front of his bike and crashed. Before he could even move, the riders behind had nowhere to go. One motorcycle slammed directly into him, striking his leg with devastating force. The impact shattered his leg so badly that doctors considered amputation. Over the following years, Hutchinson endured more than 30 surgeries, countless rehabilitation sessions, and one of the toughest recoveries motorcycle racing has ever seen. Against every expectation, Hutchinson fought his way back to the Isle of Man TT and added 8 more TT victories between 2015 and 2017, proving once again why he is regarded as one of the toughest riders the sport has ever produced. The very same year Hutchinson claimed that remarkable victory, Macau struck again. By now you've already seen how unforgiving the Gia circuit can be. Concrete walls, steel barriers, and absolutely no margin for error. In 2017, the circuit claimed another life. This time, it was British rider Daniel Hegarty. During the feature race, Hegarty was charging toward Fisherman's Bend, passing through the fast Donna Maria section, the same part of the circuit that had already claimed the life of Luís Carreira years earlier. On lap 6, disaster unfolded. As Hegarty accelerated into the high-speed right-hander, the rear of his Honda suddenly stepped out. Within a fraction of a second, the motorcycle violently flipped, launching both rider and machine over the barriers. The impact was unimaginably severe. The force of the crash even tore his helmet from his head. Despite the immediate response from medical crews, Daniel Hegarty tragically passed away while being transported to the hospital. His accident served as another heartbreaking reminder that on street circuits, even the smallest mistake can carry the ultimate consequence. But while road racing is unforgiving, even the world's safest Grand Prix circuits can produce moments that leave everyone speechless. The 2026 Catalan Grand Prix looked set to become a historic day for Pedro Acosta. After dominating practice and securing pole position, the young Spaniard appeared destined for his first MotoGP victory. Right behind him was Álex Márquez, waiting for any opportunity. Then, without warning, Acosta's KTM suddenly suffered a mechanical failure on the back straight. With almost no time to react, Márquez arrived at full speed. The Ducati slammed directly into the stranded KTM in one of the most violent collisions modern MotoGP has ever witnessed. It looked impossible to survive. Yet somehow, Álex Márquez escaped with a broken collarbone and a fracture to his C7 vertebra. The crash was a powerful reminder that no matter how advanced modern motorcycles and protective equipment become, motorcycle racing will always carry extraordinary risks. But if you think modern safety has solved everything, think again. The British Superbike Championship at Brands Hatch proved that even the best safety technology can't prevent every accident. During race 3, Leon Haslam was charging downhill at well over 170 miles per hour. As he reached the braking zone, something went terribly wrong. He squeezed the brake lever, but the bike simply refused to slow down. Completely out of options, Haslam crashed at enormous speed. His motorcycle slammed violently into the air fence, while he narrowly missed being struck by the tumbling machine himself. Although the air fence absorbed much of the impact and almost certainly saved his life, Haslam still suffered a broken left ankle, a fractured right wrist, a dislocated thumb, and extensive ligament and tendon damage. For many riders, that would have marked the end. For Leon Haslam, it became the beginning of another comeback. Just 1 year later, he returned stronger than ever and captured the championship title. But sometimes, the greatest danger isn't crashing alone, it's having nowhere to escape. That became painfully clear during the 2014 Southern 100. Often described as a smaller version of the Isle of Man TT, the event features incredibly close racing on narrow public roads. As the feature race got underway, disaster struck before the riders had even settled into the race. A massive first corner pileup sent motorcycles and riders sliding in every direction. Conor Cummins, Ivan Linton, Tom Whedon, James Cowton and several others became caught in the chaos with almost no chance of avoiding the wreckage. Miraculously, no lives were lost, but the consequences were still severe. Conor Cummins suffered a shattered left forearm, forcing him to miss the remainder of the season. Fortunately, he would recover and return to conquer the mountain course once again. But for the next rider, there would be no return to normal. One single race changed his life forever. Crashes like these remind us that motorcycle racing demands incredible courage. While safety technology has advanced dramatically over the past 2 decades, no helmet, airbag, or barrier can completely remove the risks these riders accept every time they line up on the grid. Every race is a battle between speed and survival, and every rider knows that one split second can change everything. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Which crash shocked you the most?